UFC analysts are calling for Derek Lewis to fight Tom Aspinall next. But is Ciryl Gane being unfairly pushed aside? In terms of rankings and merit, Ciryl Gane is clearly the rightful next opponent for Tom Aspinall. He is currently ranked number 1 in the UFC heavyweight division, which puts him directly in line for a title shot. Rankings matter in the UFC, especially when the goal is to crown the most legitimate champion during Jon Jones' extended absence. More importantly, Gane already holds a decisive win over Derek Lewis. The two fought at UFC 265 for the interim heavyweight title, and Gane finished Lewis via a third-round TKO, completely outclassing him in the process. It wasn't a close fight. Gane dominated Lewis with superior movement, striking, and composure in hostile territory. Lewis was fighting in his hometown of Houston, Texas. This result strongly undermines Lewis's claim for a title shot. If Gane already beat Lewis convincingly in a high-stakes fight, it's hard to justify Lewis leapfrogging him for a title opportunity now, especially when Gane has remained a top contender since that bout. Additionally, Lewis is currently ranked number 9 and has suffered multiple losses recently, including to Gane and Jailton Almeida. Even though he just scored an impressive 35-second knockout win over Teixeira, that alone doesn't outweigh Gane's consistent record against elite opponents or his number 1 ranking. Ciryl Gane isn't just the number 1 contender. He's arguably the most technically refined striker in the heavyweight division. His footwork, distance management, and composure inside the octagon are more reminiscent of a middleweight than a heavyweight. He's not the kind of fighter who relies on wild exchanges or one-shot knockouts. Instead, Gane breaks opponents down methodically, using precision, timing, and fight IQ, all tools that make him an extremely difficult puzzle for anyone to solve, including Tom Aspinall. His resume speaks for itself. Gane has fought and beaten some of the toughest names in the division, including Tai Tuivasa, Jairzinho Rozenstruik, Alexander Volkov, and of course, Derek Lewis. He's only lost to 2 men, Francis Ngannou, in a razor-close decision where he was arguably winning until the later rounds, and Jon Jones, who submitted him in a fast, dominant performance. But even that loss came on short notice after months of inactivity. There's no shame in losing to the 2 best heavyweights of the past decade. What matters more is that Gane has consistently maintained a position at the top, and he's shown the kind of poise and talent that makes him more than just a dangerous opponent. He's a championship-caliber fighter. This isn't just about who sells more pay-per-views. This is about who deserves the opportunity based on skill, consistency, and contribution to the division. Ciryl Gane has been in the title mix for years and has never lost to anyone ranked below him. That kind of consistency deserves recognition. If you're enjoying the breakdown so far, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to MMA Thread. We bring you UFC updates 3 times a day, every day, and beyond that, a fight between Tom Aspinall and Ciryl Gane will be a high-level technical showdown that hardcore fans would absolutely love. It's a clash of elite skills, 2 heavyweights who move like light heavyweights, who strike with finesse, and who could put on one of the most compelling heavyweight fights in recent memory. But even if that's not enough, there's another layer to this, the long-term picture. If the UFC is eyeing a massive showdown between Aspinall and Jon Jones in the future, they need Aspinall to continue building credibility and momentum. Giving him someone like Derek Lewis, who's ranked far lower and has already been dominated by Gane, might generate short-term buzz because of Lewis's popularity and knockout power, but it doesn't add much to Aspinall's resume. A win over Ciryl Gane, on the other hand, would elevate Aspinall's standing immensely and silence any doubts about his legitimacy as a champion. So while Derek Lewis may bring excitement and highlight real potential, the reality is that Ciryl Gane is the fight that makes the most sense for the rankings, for the sport, and for the story the UFC is trying to build. And that's why pushing Ciryl Gane aside in favor of Derek Lewis doesn't hold up under real scrutiny. Sure, Lewis just delivered a stunning 35-second knockout, and fans love him. There's no denying that. He's charismatic, dangerous, and always entertaining. But when it comes to actual title contention, entertainment value alone shouldn't be the deciding factor. Especially not in a division where the belt has already been juggled due to injuries interim titles, and long layoffs. If the UFC wants to maintain the legitimacy of its championship picture, it needs to reward merit and performance. Ciryl Gane has put in the work, stayed near the top of the rankings, and has only fallen short against two of the greatest heavyweights to ever compete. He's earned this shot, not just with one win, but with years of consistent excellence. And from a stylistic perspective, a matchup between Gane and Aspinall is the kind of elite, high-skill chess match that could define a new era in the heavyweight division. It's not just about who hits harder. It's about who's more well-rounded, who can adjust on the fly, who has the deeper toolbox. Gane versus Aspinall would answer that. So while the UFC may be tempted to strike while the iron is hot with Derek Lewis, the smarter, longer-term play is to book Tom Aspinall versus Ciryl Gane. It's the fight that makes sense for the rankings, for the division, and for the legacy of whoever walks out with the belt. And if John Jones is waiting in the wings for 2026, let the division sort itself out the right way, not just a flashy way. Because at the end of the day, championships should be earned, not handed out based on crowd reaction. And by every measurable standard, Ciryl Gane has earned a shot. Drop a comment. Who do you think deserves the next shot at Tom Aspinall? Derek Lewis or Ciryl Gane? Subscribe to MMA Thread so you never miss your daily dose of fight news.